Andre the Beast. Andre the Beast. Change our lives. Andre the Beast. Yeah, 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 yeah. He tapped in at the break of dawn. Told us King keep pushing on. Ice bath drip in the miles fell long. But your words kept us locked in strong.
Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. Another exciting show, and once again, another exciting guest. Where are we going now? I know everybody's wondering. We're going to Mississippi. Mississippi. I hope I got that right.
You got that right. You did good.
But let me go deeper with where we're going. Today, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of topics. And I'm going to tell you what some of those topics include. Natural medicine, energy healing, definitely education, and how do we, no, not how, because we do that here. We impact people. But now we're going to impact them on a whole different level. We're going to talk about really understanding how to shift your body energetically, naturally, emotionally, physically, the whole 9 yards, because all of this energy is what creates that beast mindset. But you got to learn how to do it. There's steps to get into this level of that beast mindset, that consciousness. And today, a young lady is going to tell us exactly how she got her beast mindset. Let's welcome all the way from Mississippi, Mississippi, the one, the only Miss Jennifer Thompson. How we doing, baby girl?
Thank you, sir. I am doing wonderful.
Definitely have that Mississippi accent.
All the way.
Jennifer, we're going to talk about a little bit of the rebranding, but let's go here first. Tell the viewers a little bit about who you are.
Well, as you mentioned, I'm Jennifer Thompson. I have recently received a doctorate in natural medicine, and I'm certified in energy healing, and I have a podcast, which we will talk about later, and I also started the company Deep Roots Wellness.
Let's go back deeper. Mississippi. A lot of history.
Yeah.
Still developing in its ways. And I mean, with any city or state, history carries a lot of emotional energy.
Yes.
Let's call it that. And when you're born into that energy field. You're born into your family's energy field. But as a baby, you have pure energy. And then you start to develop these fear factors by the age of 3 and 4. And then you deal with environmental situations. So let's talk about your transformation being from Mississippi, a Caucasian woman, and dealing with all that you dealt with, and you're still there. Tell me about your childhood. What was that like for you?
Yeah. So I grew up in a very small conservative town in Mississippi. And, you mentioned when we're born with pure energy, but we also were conditioned and programmed basically with the families that we're born into, right? And so that's all we know. And I grew up in a very religious, patriarchal system town, which, I mean, we're pretty much all under the patriarchal system right now, and I think that a lot of that's coming to light. But I did not understand that was not healthy, right? And so I was the child that, I will say, growing up, my brother died when we were kids. So I grew up an only child. So there was that trauma. And also, my mom, she suffered from addiction. And so there was a lot of dynamics there, even, I mean, growing up with the systems that we were growing up in, but a lot of trauma there as a child. And
what do you mean when you say the systems that you grew up in? Give the viewers a little bit of.
well, with the religious programming and the patriarchal systems. And I was the people pleaser, didn't want to rock the boat. I just wanted to keep everyone happy. I was very shy, very reserved. I felt that I needed to be perfect and not disappoint anyone. So that shaped who I was going into my teen years and then, of course, adulthood. So obviously, which we can talk about this later, but with energy, we're all energy beings, right? This is something that we are not taught in school. I didn't know any of this until just a few years ago. And, but we basically, like attracts like. We attract like relationships that we resonate with because of the energy that we're putting out. So I attracted very unhealthy relationships, unhealthy dynamics, right? And so in my 20s, got married. We both brought the wounds to the marriage. Had no idea that any of this was a thing. Had 3 kids, brought them up in it. Very much in the patriarchal religious system. So when I was 40, my body started breaking down. And I was diagnosed with a couple of autoimmune disorders. They were very aggressive. My health was declining at the time very rapidly. But I just could not. Well, one, with my mom with addiction and growing up in that environment, I was terrified of medication. And so I did not want to be on any medication, even if it was to help me with this very aggressive autoimmune disease. And so I started researching, and I say all this to say this is what brought me to where I am today. So I started researching. I understood like diet. I changed my diet. I, cut out sugar and started eating going by the autoimmune diet, right? So I started feeling better. I was like, okay, there's got to be more to this. And I started digging deeper and doing research, and I found that we are all energy beings, and everything basically is energy, frequency, and vibration. So
not to cut you off, what was the information that you found that gave you that knowledge? Was it what you remember, the book, the thesis? What was it that you looked at?
There is not just one. I mean, of course, there are so much out there. And I know, like, I don't have specifics because when I say that I was like a sponge and I was listening to every podcast I could, I was like reading the books. I was just absorbing everything because it was all new to me and I was completely fascinated. But it all made sense. And I mean, just like Tesla and my goodness, now I feel like I'm on the spot and I can't think of anybody specific. But I will say this, Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. What was it about Nikola Tesla and the doctor that really, because I take it those are two names that the universe has downloaded to you and you knocked it off like that. So what was it about Nikola Tesla and Doc that
Dr. Wayne Dyer?
Yeah.
I will start with this. In the beginning, when I started doing research with fear-based systems, like certain religions. I'm not saying all by any means, and I know that I've said that several times. You were taught, do not lean on your own understanding, right? Just have faith. And so, me starting to research outside of what I had been taught, there was a lot of guilt that came through. And so I would start researching and I would shut it down because it would make sense and then I would stop. But Dr. Wayne Dyer, I will say this. The way that he presented, of course he's passed, but just his lectures and his books, the way he presented made me feel comfortable enough to start exploring that, like all of it. And he probably had the biggest impact for me in the beginning because I was able to allow myself to break free from the guilt and explore what this is really about. Like, be able to see reality for what it is.
When you say break away from the guilt,
yeah,
I'm gonna throw myself into this mix because I think a lot of times I tell people light attracts and there's a reason that people meet. So I'm gonna put a little bit of my spin on that to let people know that we're all connected.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna let you go here with this. Let's talk about that transformation part, the guilt part to the release. We're gonna go with your spirituality part. I remember as a young kid going to church, and I remember this was during the times where we just really came out. We were still dealing with racism at its utmost. It just wasn't glorified or broadcast the way it is now.
Right.
But I remember asking myself these questions to myself, like, if there is this supposed to be individual, why can't I go to the white people's church?
Right.
And nobody could ever give me an definitive answer. Then I would ask questions like, well, how come if you say he's colorless, he's always a white person? But nobody could ever give me these what I call easy questions, but no definitive answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I became awakened, it was very traumatizing. Not to the point that I was going to harm myself. It was traumatizing to the point that I was like, this is really crazy. The majority of the world believes this, but they can't come up with a logical answer that makes any sense. It's almost like the answers fit the situation, like the movie script. It fits the role here, and you're not following the game plan. You know what I'm saying? So, and there were probably other things, but this is about you. I just threw myself in there so you didn't feel alone.
No, I love it, and thank you for that.
So, what was some of the things that once? Let me go here. When you started to feel the energy shift, then other things become downloaded and the fragments begin to align. What was some of the disappointing things that you were taught and that society said, this is the law, the order, this is what you must be. If not, you're considered an outcast. What was at least 3 of those things?
What comes to mind, and it's not exactly what you asked, but this is what came to mind, so this is what I'm going to say. When I started deconstructing, and I don't only mean religion, I mean from the system period, from the matrix. I mean, I know that we're in the matrix right now, but just when I started, I was teaching Sunday school with my son, and he was 15 at the time. And this child, he's 19 now, but he studied the Bible more than almost any adult that I know, right? And I was trying to do everything right. we were doing devotion every night, read the Bible with the kids. Of course, we were in church. And I led my children. And this is one thing that, if I could go back, I would do this differently for sure, which I know this is part of the journey, right? Were you going to say something?
No. I said, yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah. So my son and I teaching Sunday school together, young children. And I had started deconstructing, but I was in the closet for years. No one knew because obviously everyone around me is very heavy in religion. And but so I started leading the Sunday school classes. I didn't go against the church because I respected that, but we started teaching things about Jesus's teaching, about love and how we should treat people, because I fully believe that now, right? And we would ask the children to draw a picture of their favorite Bible or Bible story, or tell us your favorite Bible story. And almost every one of them, especially the boys, right? They were violent. They were like bloody with like knives with blood. And because these are the Bible, like these are the stories in the Bible. And that I remember just stepping back thinking, what have we been teaching our children? Like, we're programming them to think that this is okay and this is normal. And if God is the God of everyone, then he would not play favorites. He would not want to kill a whole community, country, society. It doesn't matter, right? And so I think my heart broke when I realized how much ingrained this was, and especially in our children, and it was normal. And and my son had started questioning things at that point too. But
let me stop you for this. So didn't mean to stop you, but I'm listening here. You said you gave the children an assignment.
Yeah.
And a lot of the boys picked the violent scriptures to elaborate on. What about the girls?
There weren't many girls in the class. I'm glad you brought that up. But when we did have girls, it was more like Jesus on the cross, which again is a bit violent, but it's a story of love, right? So it wasn't like the killing other people, but it was still Jesus' sacrifice and him being on the cross.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Now, back to your son. He did what now?
I hadn't thought about that. Thank you for bringing that up. So he started questioning things, and of course, I was there to watch and to support, and I still hadn't told him a lot about my deconstruction journey at that time. Because, for one, I want my children to be able to find their truth. I don't want to persuade. And I want to guide and help if they have questions. And so he was, like I said, he studied that Bible, and it was his life. And he started like a prayer group in school, which is a lot for a 15-year-old boy going into school, and he played sports. And I mean, that's just not heard of. And so he would come to me and say, okay, Mama, this is what I found. This was the first original religion. I think that this is the truth. And when I'm old enough and I can make my own decisions, I want to convert. And I was like, well, I'll be there to support you. Right. And so I say all that to say he was searching for the truth. And I just instinctively knew as I watched this that he was going to come to the actual truth, that this has been programmed in us.
What did he find that was the truth? I mean, what religion or what did he?
Well, okay, so he originally Catholicism, because that was the first religion that he had found, and then Orthodox, and so he was trying to track it back to the original religion, thinking that this has got to be the right one, right? Because, I mean, we have like 45,000 different denominations of Christianity, and so he was just trying to find the original one, thinking that that had to be the right one. But I knew if he looked for the truth, he would find what we're really looking at.
Now, tell me the connection between that and your journey?
So that is when he came to me and said, okay, this is not real. Like, it's not right. And I see it for what it is. And I can't do this anymore. Can't teach Sunday school. I don't believe in it. How that comes back to my journey is when we stopped going to the church and we started our journey on finding the truth of who we are as humans, and that we are all connected. We are all, I believe, part of the same consciousness. And I found energy healing. And if I can do a remote energy healing session on someone to help their body heal and then be across the United States or in another country, that to me is proof that we are all connected and all part of the same consciousness and all part of like the same energy.
Give me an example when you realized you had this gift. Because I think a lot of people, and then this is a two-part question.
Yeah.
Give me an example of when you realized that you had this gift. And then number two, how did you prepare yourself for the gift?
So I actually was introduced to energy healing from a family member, my sister-in-law, and the practitioner was in California, right? And so I had a couple of sessions. It's the emotion code, where you basically clear out emotions that are stuck in your body, which is energy. So you clear those and you release them. And so I had an appointment with her. I saw that it worked. I very much believed in it. And I looked into it. And I said, there is really something to this. We are really energy beings. I see it so clearly now. And so at that time, I signed up to become certified. And just through the certification, I realized that I believe that we can all do this. We all have the ability to do it. It's just whether we want to or not, and whether we're open to it.
What was it that you saw with the person that you go, wow, this worked? What was that person dealing with? And what did you see that was transformation that took you to where you at now?
When the recessions were being done on me, like originally?
No, you said they were done on somebody else first, and you saw it. If I heard it clearly.
I'm sorry, and I was just saying that I realized that this it was real. It was originally the sessions that were done on me,
okay.
And
what was it that you saw then that was removed from you? What was? Let me go here. Is that a train?
Yeah, there's a train near my house.
Okay, I'm like, wow. Okay.
And there's like one road in this town. It is so small.
Yeah, it's
And it
crazy.
acts like, we're in a big place with a lot of traffic.
But that train probably goes by at the same time every day. You know. So let's go here for a minute. What was the things that you was dealing with outside of that part of the religion that when you went to her, it gave you a affirmative truth as far as you know,
Yeah.
that a shift was taking place? What were you dealing with outside of that was clearly lowering that was keeping you from being grounded?
Yeah. So I was still actually dealing with the autoimmune disease at the time.
Okay.
And so that the sessions were to help with that, with the pain with my joints and my mobility at the time. And immediately I saw a huge improvement in that. And so with the diet that I changed, that I said originally, that's like what started it, and I felt better. And then she started the energy healing sessions on me. I could tell a huge improvement, and even my mindset, my anxiety that came with all of it. And actually probably that I had most of my life. I just didn't realize it was anxiety because it was normal, right? But all of that improved almost immediately.
Let me go back a minute. I heard you talk about your mom a lot.
Yeah.
Where's your dad?
My dad, he is still here, and I'm very close to my dad. My dad is, he is a very quiet man, doesn't like conflict. And I say all that to say with my mom, and my brother going through that have to have been extremely hard on him. But he's still here with me, and I'm close to my dad.
How do you adjust during that period of the loss with your brother? I didn't mean to go back, but I want to bring into all of because this is gonna take us to the next part.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the nervous system now, and let me go deeper than this. And I don't mean this for the viewers to sound crazy, because you can't change. But the old saying is, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. What that means is our parents and our parents and our parents and our parents are in the matrix, and they're being programmed, and anything outside of that is considered the devil.
Yes.
So I remember, this is so funny, man. I don't know why I got this download. I remember when Alexa came out, and I brought it to my dad, and it started doing, and man, he freaked out. And I had to remember his mindset. I had to remember my stepmom's mindset. He wasn't ready for evolvement, or evolution to take place. So what I mean by that is, which we're going to get into, your nervous system and how all of this stuff impacts, because they probably didn't know how to really, how can I say this? I'm going to use myself for example. When my mom died, nobody had a protocol to deal with death. It was, you weep, you cry, you go on, life goes on.
Right.
But that trauma as a kid still lies in there. You can go play hopscotch all day long, but somewhere along that path, you're going to go into what would my life have been like, or what do I do now? Right. Now let's go back to you. You lose your brother. Your mother is suffering from alcoholism. We didn't really talk about your dad. He's more reserved.
Yeah.
But you got a loss right now of your sibling. Yeah. How do they cultivate you? Because now that's locked inside you as well.
So I was younger. I was 3. And so now the trauma of it, yes. Did it stay in my body? My body, absolutely. But I don't have a whole lot of memories from it. But I just know that that is one event, rightfully so, that completely changed my mom, right? And after that, I don't know that she ever really fully came back. And I get it. I see it. I mean, I can't imagine. I don't want to imagine losing one of my children, right? And so I believe that I absorbed, I know I did actually, just clearing my own emotions, but a lot of emotions and trauma from my mom and my dad. Not understanding that's what it was. And honestly, like I ended up being so shy because I did not want to be seen. I didn't want to be a problem. I didn't want to cause, like, any problems in their life. I just wanted to keep the peace. And so that probably shaped that part in me after my brother passed away, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now let's go deeper, because we're going to get into this
Yeah.
even deeper while we still have time. Your mom dealt with, they say the worst thing for any parent is the loss of a child.
Yeah.
We can sit here all day and go, I don't know how I can handle that. And another thing is people say, I understand. You really don't understand. So the problem here is, how did your dad become? Did he become more distant, more isolated? How did he deal with your mom?
He my dad has always been a very quiet, reserved man. And I just think he did the best he could with what he knew, right? He probably became quieter and enabled my mom's behaviors more, but he's always just there to support, but he's not going to rock the boat. And I mean, I just think that that's how he dealt with it. I can't imagine the pain that either of them went through. And then with a toddler, having to figure out how to keep her safe and alive and well too, that had to have been so challenging and difficult for both of them.
Now, when did you say you lost your mom? Did I get that correct?
Yes. And she was 54.
How old were you when you lost your mom?
26.
Okay, so you hadn't had a shift. Your shift hadn't came yet.
No.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
I got you.
No.
Okay, so let's go here. Let's talk about this word that I love. Emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And I tell people, I had the beautiful Dr. Jennifer Bellengroff on the show, and she wrote the book, Fix the Fucking Marriage. I believe that was the name of it. And it was funny because most people, if you say what destroys a marriage, they'll say infidelity, finances, and communication.
Yeah.
And probably a little bit more. And I remember reading that book, and I said, none of those are the reasons that relationships crumble.
Yeah.
Relationships crumble because of a word called emotional intelligence.
Completely agree.
Emotional intelligence is going into the deeper self, addressing those hard to address things that surface during relationships with what is called triggers.
Yes.
Once you get to understanding emotional intelligence, you then become emotionally aware.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 times out of 10, everything's not 100%, because you can't have good without evil. You got to have that little negative to keep you, going, or to make you want to learn more. So let's go here. I love this word, emotional intelligence. When did you discover your emotional intelligence, and how did you know you were missing emotional intelligence?
Yes. Great question. So obviously it happened after, let's see, probably I was probably about 43. And I say that because it was within that time that I started just deconstructing everything and realizing that all the systems that we had been taught.
Do me a favor real quick before you finish this, because you used that word 3 times. And tell the viewers what deconstruction means to you and why you choose that word. Then I'll let you finish.
Okay, absolutely. So deconstruction for me is basically dissecting and destructing the systems, whether it be religion or the patriarchal systems, like all the programming that we were kind of handed when we were kids or when we were born, just unraveling that to see what really resonates with us and what doesn't, right? Because a lot of our beliefs are handed to us. They're not what we picked for ourselves. So it's unraveling all those systems and then taking what I believe for me and what aligns with who I am now.
Okay. Now, finish your emotional intelligence journey. So,
as I was learning that we're energy beings and there's a different spiritual world out there, and that we're all connected, and that we see the world through our own lens and the programming that we have inside of us. So I started realizing that when, just say you had an argument with your spouse, right? And they brought something to you, hey, I didn't like the way you did this, or you hurt my feelings when, many times if we don't have that emotional intelligence, or we are in victim mindset a little more than we should be, we feel like they're attacking us. Instead of being able to look at it objectively and saying, they're bringing something to me and saying that I hurt them. And we probably didn't mean to. Most of the time, we don't mean to hurt or offend anyone, right? But if we do, we are able to take ownership of that and make it right and apologize and see it through their lens and not just our lens. And emotional intelligence is being able to see how our actions affect other people and how other people are feeling, and being able to validate their feelings and meet them where they are.
What were your emotional intelligent areas of weakness?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I already know.
Do you? So one of mine, I will say, was I never thought that I was a victim and in victim mindset, but I was. I remember, when someone does something to hurt you, kind of like I just said earlier, I can't believe that they would say that to me, or I can't believe that, that they would not treat me right, or whatever it may be. I remember standing in my bedroom because I actually wrestled with this one. This is where I got stuck on my spiritual journey for the longest.
There's a reason I asked that question, right? Go ahead.
So I did get stuck here for the longest because I was like, okay, I understand that I have to choose for me and take accountability for my actions and what I choose, and I am in control of my life, right? Nobody else is. Nobody's in control of making me happy or anything like that. But if I just if I get that mindset, that means they get off scot-free. right? And they really are doing something that's not. Anyway, so I got just stuck, like wrestling with that. And I was standing in my bedroom and I was like, wait a minute. And this just like aha moment, like this light bulb went off. And I said, I am in control of everything that happens in my life. Like, even if someone does something to hurt my feelings or hurt me, right? I have the choice on how I respond to it and what I do with it. It's not up to them to change just because I don't like it. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have been in victim mindset. And so from that point forward, I saw it in a different light and I realized if I don't like someone else's choices or actions or behaviors, it's not for me to change. It's for me to figure out what I'm going to do with that, what I choose. And I mean, you either stay in the situation or you don't. Like, I have the choice on like the final outcome for me. And so after that, I felt freer than I had ever felt, I think, in my life.
I always tell people our actions, the universe doesn't always say who comes into your life.
Yeah.
It's your actions and your attitude that determines the outcome.
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of people don't understand that. But you're talking to somebody that's been practicing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And it took a while for me to say, okay, you're right. What does this have to do? What's the lesson here? Let me put myself in your shoes.
Yes.
See if I want that in my space.
That's right.
Am I capable? This is what I tell people too. You can attract somebody. I'll talk to somebody about this. They said, well, I have such good energy, but I attract a lot of bad. And I had to think about that for a minute. I said, you know why? And you can probably answer this better than me because you're a professional here.
Mm-hmm.
But this was what I said. And you can quote me if I'm wrong or not. I said that you probably attracted it, so much of it, because you have so much energy that you can help heal them or guide them on the right path. Doesn't mean you have to take it all in and keep it part of your luggage, but you can defragment it and maybe give them a better course versus keep going into the waves. What's your take on that with people with that positive energy, like they say, but they say, you know what, Dre, you know what, Jennifer, I'm attracting this at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Right. And there can be several layers, and you're absolutely right. I completely agree with that. And there also can be several layers there because take me, for instance, I was a people pleaser. Right. And I mean, I'm talking, and I didn't know my own worth, but I would attract people, with not the best qualities or behavior. And it's not, I don't think because I had bad actions, it's because I didn't know my worth. And so I attracted what resonated with that. And also a lot of times we can have great energy. And I'm not saying like in the case that you were talking, like they probably did attract someone to help them heal or grow in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. But many times we have the outside energy that we're showing is great and it seems high energy, but many times we have those resonating frequencies in our body that are lower, and it's the trauma that we haven't healed from yet. So many times we don't, of course, and I know you know this, we don't attract what we are. No, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. So there are times where people are vibrating at a frequency that's lower because they have unresolved trauma and like unhealed emotions and stuff inside of them.
And don't you think to kind of add to that, I think too that sometimes you attract what you need.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You know, and I
Completely
think
agree.
a lot of times during this awakening,
Mm-hmm.
the matrix is what I might call it.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you don't realize that the person who came into your life came there to amplify you in a way. But this is what I'm getting ready to ask you. Thank you for that download. This is what I'm getting ready to ask you. You can't understand this if you don't become self-aware. So let me go here with this. You can
Yes.
you can, because you hear everybody go, I don't know why that motherfucker came into, this
Yes.
on me. This month, I lost my job because of this. And, I sit back and go, you ever thought that maybe you lost a job because something's better for you in another door?
Yeah, exactly.
So my question here is, I'm just getting downloads like crazy. So
I love it.
So let's go here.
Love it.
Why is it you got your doc? You just got an honorary doctorate. So congratulations. So I'm gonna put it to work for the next few minutes. Why do you think people have a difficult time awakening when the clues is in front of them? It's almost let's use this movie for a minute. You can take the blue pill or the red pill, Neil.
Exactly.
You can stay in the matrix, or you can see. Do you think from getting your degree that people are that so programmed from generations to generations to generation from the Civil War, the Vietnam, and all these different chaos things that they're afraid to really step outside of the boundaries?
Yes. Okay. So, several things here. For one, I mean, obviously it's proven that in our DNA, we have things that are passed down to us. Like you say, the Civil War and like all this stuff, right? So there is generational trauma there. Okay. And have you seen, and this is the easiest way, this is when I had my aha moment, and this is what I use when I'm explaining it to someone who is like at the edge of like, I see it, but I don't. Dr. David Hawkins, I believe, his emotional consciousness chart, the consciousness of emotions. Have you seen that chart?
No, but explain it to the
Okay, yes. So what it does is it lists like major emotions like fear, guilt, and shame. Of course, those are at the bottom of the chart, right? And then you kind of go up from there, and the highest emotions are love, joy, and of course, authenticity is the highest frequency emotion that we can experience, right? And be in. Okay, so if you are down here on the bottom of this chart, and this just gives people a visual, right? And so fear, guilt, and shame. So many of us get stuck in fear, guilt, and shame. Where does a lot of religions keep us? Fear, guilt, and shame, right? That's just an example. And so if we're here, we can't see anything above us. But if we go up the chart, we can see everything below us, like for what it is, right? So many people are stuck in like the fear, guilt, and shame frequencies that they can't see because they don't have the self-awareness. So it's almost not, was really not possible for them to see reality for what it is and get out of that victim mindset.
I wanted you to take the lead on that.
Did that make sense?
I knew it already, but
yeah, I know you do, right? Absolutely.
This is your episode. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And coming from a lady who just got her honorary doctorate in it, I'm shedding my mouth. I wanted to come from the doctor's mouth exactly what they need to do. So let's go here with this.
Yeah.
I get it. You got to. Some people can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
But what would be some of the steps that people need to recognize that something isn't right. And then the second part of the question is, what would be your recipe or your prescription for them to start an awakening journey to understand how to release all of these factors that we was talking about to create a beautiful mind, sort of, or that beast mindset, or that
great question,
consciousness.
Yes. Okay. So, and I know you know this, but we can't change people's mindsets, right? I came in this whole thing in the beginning completely naive. I was like, I have discovered all of this and I feel so free and I feel better than I have and I see things for what they are. Of course, we're always learning, right? Everybody is going to want this. Everybody. Well, I found out really quickly that is not the case. And so I had to step back and say, okay, let's take this one step at a time. And so if I have someone that comes to me, and I think you mentioned something like this earlier, I mean, you know, this person like losing a job, or like this person did this to me and this is what happens. And we know that our perception of things, if we're in that mindset, is always going to go to the worst case scenario, right? Most of the time. So I start with baby steps. I always start with what ifs. Like, okay, I hear what you're saying and I validate what they're telling me because at the time, that is their reality, right? And it's okay. So what if they didn't do the thing to hurt you? What if they did it for this reason? And it's just to kind of lighten the load and get them to know and feel, okay, this other person is not against me. Maybe they weren't doing it to upset me or make me mad. And then I start just chipping away at that and helping them see things through a different lens. Maybe not so victim mindset lens, right? And then at that point, you can kind of, and not everybody, but you can get them eventually to see that this other person, the reason that they have the behaviors that they do, they're only looking at the world through their lens. It really had nothing to do with you as a whole, right? They reacted and so it softens it so they can see that person is dealing with their world and they have their world and like their worlds clashed. And but it's, I think the more that we can see that we're actually not the victims that we think we are, it starts to open up doors that we've never been able to see, like a lens that we've never been able to see through.
So people need to understand how to be a critical thinker versus a fear-based thinker.
Yes.
This is my last question here.
Yeah.
You're going to, when you think the way that I think and the way you think, and let's talk about a little bit of the spirituality part and the emotional intelligence, you would get somebody saying, well, free will.
Oh.
This is my take on this, and I'm going to let you use your degree once again on this. I'm not against free will. That's what I tell somebody. Okay, if you're going to come at me from a spiritual thing with this beast mindset or emotional intelligence or spiritual awakening, let's go a little bit deeper. If I got free will, what makes you think that all the people that come into my life isn't there to help me make a decision in my free will journey?
Yeah.
Whether if I choose to go with Peter and he goes rob us a bank, I'll become part of that bank rob. It's called accessory.
Right.
But I had the free will to walk away. So where does free will and awakening and emotional intelligence and critical thinking all play in your role?
That is a great question. Because I think that people have a skewed opinion, or I don't know how I want to say that. I think that we've been, not everybody, some people have been conditioned to have a skewed view on free will. To a certain point, I mean, I do think that we all have free will, you know, like you said, like we have a choice at all times. And I believe that the possibilities for any of us are infinite. And the decisions that we make today will shape our tomorrow, right? The decisions, our circumstances today are because the choices that we made yesterday or last year or a few months ago, right? So we absolutely have free will to make any choice we want to make. But we have to understand where that's going to take us and where that's going to lead us. If it's someone who is wanting to find financial freedom, right? Well, they have free will. They have the money in the hand, so they can either go on a shopping spree and spend their money, or they can learn how to invest, learn new skills, do the education, and learn how to grow that money. They have the free will to do both, but you have to understand the consequences of both, right? Because there are consequences to all of our actions. And I do believe that for a visual, the chart that I brought up, the chart of emotions, the consciousness, that the higher we go on the chart, and nothing is good or bad or better or worse, right? It's just what we choose for ourselves and where we want to be. But the higher our frequency goes, the more self-aware we are to make the choices that will get us to where we want to go in the future. Whether it be with spirituality, right? I know a lot of religious talk and free will. That's where a lot of people think that free will comes into play, but I don't necessarily agree with that version of free will. I get a lot on some of my videos that I make that God gives us free will on our decision to follow Him or follow not. And I'm talking about the God of the patriarchal God. That's what I'm talking about, right? And I don't believe that if I gave you a choice right now, and I said, you can either drink from the water glass that you have right now in front of you. I don't know if you have one. You have a choice. You can either drink from it or you don't. Okay, free will is just letting you choose which one to do, right? But if I throw in, if you don't drink from that glass, I will make your life hell. That's not free will. That is just an ultimatum, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of times when we hear the word free will, and I say all that to say, when we hear the word free will, people's minds go to that patriarchal system that we've been taught. But I don't believe that that is true free will. I do think that we have free will, but we have to understand the consequences for all decisions that we make.
I think they call it, let's use the movie Seven, create your heaven or hell on earth. You have
Yes.
a choice.
Yes.
But choices come with consequences.
Yes. And we do make our own heaven or hell. It's our choice.
Deep. Before we wrap up, let me say it's been a pleasure. First of all, it's, to talk to someone who just got a brand new honorary doctorate as a, natural healer and energetic healer. Man, what's next for you? What's next for you?
So I plan to continue to grow Deep Roots Wellness, and that is where, of course, I offer energy healing sessions, emotion code, and the body code. And also, I do animal healing sessions, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites. I also have coaching sessions on there. And I am integrating biofeedback sessions as well. And it's brand new. I'm learning it now, and it is fascinating. And also growing my podcast. I have rebranded, and I believe you mentioned this earlier. I've rebranded the podcast to just Jennifer Thompson, because we talk about more than just natural medicine on the podcast. It's all things spiritual, natural medicine, of course, astrology, all the stuff, deconstruction, whatever comes up, and whoever aligns with where we are at the time, because I do believe that whoever is supposed to hear it at the time, somebody's going to hear it that needs to hear. And I do not want to limit that to just natural medicine. And two, I'm fascinated with all subjects. So I have rebranded the podcast, but of course, grow the podcast as well, and just keep helping as many people as we can.
That sounds great. And you guys can listen to the podcast on the I Am Beast Radio Network for more viewership and to get that spirituality, get your beast mindset where it needs to be. Jen, how can the viewers reach out to you?
They can find me at website www.deep-roots-wellness.com. And I'm also on TikTok, just Jennifer Thompson, and YouTube, Jennifer Thompson, and Instagram and Facebook, same thing.
Sounds like winner. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, share, follow. Do everything you need to do to spread the message. All it takes is one click to change your life or to make a difference in somebody else's life. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another, and I do mean another, exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Braden Show.
Andre the Beast. Andre the Beast. Change our lives. Andre the